All right, we are live, and
Fair.
of course, to
Nice.
make everything crazy, I'm trying a completely new software. There's a
Yeah.
link in the description. This is wave.video. I'm on the beta. So the beta means that I have no idea what's going to happen, and I just pray everything works okay. But it's got some cool features. I like the double layers, and I could bring in an awesome guest with an awesome background. And I mean, what is it? Was it Meaning Wave Lord here? What's your term, Akira?
That's fine. I like that meaning wave lord. I mean, you could say wave lord for short, but like,
Okay,
I
there
like
you go.
meaning wave lord. Sounds, appropriately regal.
So
I
we
like
have
it.
the Wave Lord on wave.video, and I'm wearing the Meaning Wave shirt, so we're all set.
Oh shoot! Look at this. We're both wearing that meaning wave.
We got
Yeah.
it. Akira
Woo,
the Don merch. All
woo,
right.
woo. Swag.
All right. How is
Swag.
everybody doing? And I have no idea how many people are here because it appears this software doesn't tell me. So all of
Feel.
you wonderful people, I'm stoked to have you. I wish I knew how many. 40. All right. Good
Ziggy
deal.
Shrugs is in the building, man. That's all that matters. We got Ziggy Shrugs in the house. We got Ray J in the house. We got Jay and Faye Page in the house. We got Sean in the house. We got Clyde in the house. We got Lee Harvey in the house. What I mean, what's better than that? What is better than
Sold.
that?
Sold. That's why I
Boom!
have him here. He's the perfect announcer, man. He's
Boom!
like both a DJ and a auctioneer.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about you could be auctioneer, man? You rattle it off that quickly.
I did bingo in Hollywood. I was DJing in one of them nightclubs that the Kardashians go to, one of those type joints, and they decided that that bingo was going to be hot this year. They had like one of those power meetings, and they're like, do you know what's going to be hot in nightlife? Bingo. They're like, we need a bingo caller. He's the ultimate, and they were like, Akira the Don. Akira the Don can be our bingo caller, you know. So I got pulled in to do like celebrity bingo at It was certainly something.
Yeah, it is. And check this out, folks. I mean, I love that we always want to play with new toys, but we can do things like this. Ooh.
Oh, that's
Or we could go
hey.
at an angle. Wait, which way we're turning?
That one's cool.
All kinds of new toys.
Yeah,
I wish the chat scrolled. It appears that it's not going to. I have to scroll it every time. So very, very interesting. Okay, so we're off to the new show. And to start things off, and this is a follow-up from my last news show, which is 2 weeks ago. Thus, we're calling this Weekish something or something. I don't know. Nobody likes the title. I got to come up with something, but I don't want to be firm and say, oh, I'm here every week, because I'll try to be here almost every week, but I might miss a week. And then I feel guilty, and I don't want to feel guilty.
Why would you feel guilty?
I feel guilty if I'm not there when I set an appointment to be there. So I like to set expectations. It's a neurotic tendency.
Oh yeah. Don't bother with expectations. Like zero expectations, and you win every time. Yeah.
Exactly. So under promise, over deliver. That's always my motto. But
there's your title.
Under promise, over deliver. That's kind of a long title, dude.
It is. Yeah, it's terrible.
It'll be like filling up the whole window here.
Ask chat. I'm sure chat's got a wonderful title. Chat, because we need a title for Eric Hunley's amazing new show.
I think so. Between here and locals, we definitely will do something. But I'm going to bring up this article, which is funny because a couple weeks ago, I covered the Golden Globes that nobody knew if it actually happened, since there was no audience, no televised, no internet presence, just a Twitter feed.
I didn't know it happened.
Exactly. Without Ricky Gervais, what's the point?
Oh, it's the one that Ricky Gervais does. That one's
yeah. But he last time he did it, I think it was 2020, and now 2022, they're just like hiding it into the Netherlands of Twitter.
Isn't that the one where he just went up and told them all exactly what they were to their faces?
Yes.
You couldn't really top that. That was done.
No, that was the mic drop.
Yeah.
And the think about it though, the entire awards show technically died after. So I mean, that might be the ultimate MC job, right? I mean, he did it, and it's really no longer. But
Hunter S. Thompson talks about the high watermark point in the 60s, where the tide rolled up and you could see the bit where it hit and then it rolled back again, and that was that. That was it. That was it for Hollywood, or whatever you want to call that system. That thing is now done. It's over. It crescented with Ricky Gervais telling them all what despicable cunts they are. And And that was that. It's all been downhill ever since. And now we're at, what is this? It's like, it's just going to be first such and such to win an award forever, right? Fucking first digital toaster to get a Golden Globe.
Digital toaster, I like that.
Until they run out of shit for firsts.
I made an ass out of myself, though, because I went railing about the fact that the Best Actress Award went to a transvestite.
I went to a dude.
Yes. So...
Did it? Is that what happened?
Yes, technically a transvestite, or no, not transvestite, transsexual.
You can't say transvestite. That's hate speech. You just hate speech.
Oh, dude, I can't help myself.
What's the point in setting up a new channel if you're just going to go get yourself hate speeched into oblivion?
I'm working on it, dude. I'm trying to save face here. I am interviewing a transsexual tomorrow. I'm not kidding.
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were about to say I'm interviewing a transsexual. I said, really? What? When did that? I missed that memo.
No. I'm not going to say you're non-binary. I think you're fully binary.
Yeah, I'm fucking amazing. I'm not even slightly on the fence of it. I'm full blown epic. Now, it's what we're discovering here after all of our struggles, all of our cultural struggles, is that ultimately just men are better at everything, and that's just it. Men are even better at being women than women are. And that's what all of the awards ceremonies are here to tell us, and that's what all the sporting ceremonies are going to be telling us as well. And that's going to be the story for the next couple of years, just how amazingly better at everything dudes are. And it's not very nice, you know what I mean?
That might be a good name. What do you think? Weekdays.
Weekdays. You bet. You have to be high to do it then, right? You have to, or something.
Yeah. And I am moving away from the news with the booze aspect of it. So.
Exactly. So you could have news with booze, and then for this one, you could hit the blunt. And it could be weekdays.
Yeah, no, I better not. I'm out of that phase right now.
Yeah, I just came straight from CrossFit, and I feel like I did 3 pills in 90, like those 90s pills, you know what I mean? Like the kind of pill that you would find in a hubcap in Ghent, in Belgium, in like 2001. It had been there since 1994. I feel like I've hit 3 of those.
All right. Famous question. We always have to know: Are we yellow yet?
What does that mean?
Yellow.
Oh yeah. You ain't yellow. You've been hate speeching.
Not yet.
You're
not
fucking
yet.
red, baby. You in the red.
Not yet. Not even with the see you next Tuesday from the Akira. But okay, so here we go. Folks, this is what I was worried about. Mark, thank you so much for the super chat. As you can see on this, though, it's not very clear to me that was a super chat coming in. So I will be yelling at the developers about that.
Yeah.
But thank you very, very, very much. And folks, just to let you know ahead, if I don't see it, it's because it just kind of blends in with the chat. I will be talking to them about that. And that's what I am, is I'm a beta tester right now. I've already given them like 20 points I'd like to change. There's a lot I love about it, but then, early days, it's going to be painful. Back to my mea culpa, though. This is like the world's longest apology. Essentially, I railed about the fact that everyone complains that straight actors can't be playing gay characters or transsexual characters. And I was going, well, great. So now you're just going to have a transsexual character take the best female award. Is that okay now? How is that working out? And then somebody pointed out, they said, hey, dummy, it takes 10 seconds on Wikipedia to look up the show. The person was playing a transsexual role.
Boom! Yeah, you owned yourself there, baby.
I kind of did. Did. But you know the good news?
No.
Since the award show was so little watched, I only had one comment on the other channel for the first 15 minutes to tell me that nobody cared. Nobody noticed. But I do want to make it a point of something that I don't see in normal news, which is anytime they get something wrong, they either just quietly change the damn story or they print something on page 19 and nobody's going to see the mea culpa. I feel like if I screw up, that should be the first thing I talk about, not the last thing.
Yeah.
And while I'm an idiot, I'm going to be an idiot with integrity. And that's a goal. So moving on.
Wow. That's a good name for a show.
Idiots with integrity. There we go.
No idiot. Don't be casting aspersions on your guests.
Well, okay.
You just-
I gotta attract somebody.
No, you should. I like idiots with integrity is nice. I like it. That's good. I'll tell
Maybe
you.
just say the double I show, and the people are like, what does that mean?
There you
Never
go.
mind.
That's good.
Never mind.
Yeah.
You don't want to know. Well, I do a lot of intelligence stuff, so it's either CIA or idiots intelligent or idiots idiots with integrity. Maybe it's not a good name if I can't say it. All right. So while you're talking about shall we say men transitioning to women being better and all that, what do you think about the subject? Have you seen the swimmer?
It's so funny. It's so funny. Like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be happening in everything because there's not a single physical activity that women are better than men at other than shooting.
There is
right?
one. There is one that sometimes they are, and
What
it's
is
no. There is one
other than shooting,
other than shooting. Yes,
a competitive physical activity.
It's a weird one, but
am I giving you a good bit? Is this going to be a really good payoff?
I don't know. I will say that we have had female athletes win ultra marathons.
Oh, okay. All right.
Outright. Well. And there's something about the longer the distance, the more the endurance starts to come in. And I don't know if it's a correlation with childbirth, but yeah, women have really, really strong ability over time. It's not all the time. As somebody, I guarantee I will hear in the comments, most likely that, oh no, that was this, that was that, this is this. But there are women who have won like a Moab, which is a 500-mile foot race. Other women who have won Western States outright, or you'll see that often there'll be a woman in the top 5 overall.
All right, so there's a couple things, but most things it is not even close. Tennis, for example, I'm sure you know.
Oh God, yeah.
Because it's often people bring
or
this
soccer.
Up.
Well, my friend Nate does soccer or football, and the women's the U.S. women's team got beat by, I think they were 14-year-olds.
Yeah, they did get beat by 14-year-olds. If Serena Williams couldn't beat the number 201st placing male tennis player.
Oh, I think she said 500.
She couldn't beat the number 201st technically. But either way, what this means is there's a lot of women's sports in which a lot of like number 203 level dudes are going to be like, ooh, baby. You know what I mean?
And that's what they're saying about the Penn swimmer.
Yeah.
We have the Penn swimmer who coincidentally was 3 years on the men's team.
Yeah.
Apparently not winning, and suddenly transitions and wins it all.
Yeah.
And my issue is that if this is the case, well, why do we have Title IX?
What's Title IX?
Title IX is where we separated the sports in America.
Yeah. Well, we know where that is. But what will happen is that there'll be so much indoctrination of kids into confusing the fuck out of them that there will be so many transgender kids in about 15 years they will be able to have their own section.
Yeah, gymnastics might be another one, by the way.
Yeah,
some of the floor routines, it's possible. I don't know.
Nah, man. Well, look. Yeah, there's gymnastics. It depends what aspects of it you're rating. Like they can't lift as much. They can't do as much.
Right, they're not going to do the iron rings, obviously, but they
can do so. Like there's some females in my CrossFit class who are so incredibly powerful, and hench and ninja is terrifying. But then some of the dudes, like it's a whole other thing. But look, it just means that we're going to have a very entertaining and ridiculous sort of next sort of 5 to 7 years while this plays itself out to its ultimate like obviousness, which is every single sport will be cannibalized in that manner.
Right, but you see, I don't really want that, and that's why I'm back to Title IX.
Well, it doesn't matter what you want. What you're going to get is that. It doesn't matter what you want.
I don't know. I think you should fight it, kicking and streaming every way. I mean, I don't have kids, happen. But what about fathers who have daughters who want them to get a scholarship to college, and now they don't have it?
It's going to be horrible. But what it's going to do is like a lot of people are going to have to question a lot of things because a lot of people who unquestioningly went along with certain narratives because they wanted to be good, they wanted to be thought of as nice and good, and nice good people, and nice good people are tolerant and da. And they don't think these things all the way through. Which is most things in life, most of our problems are a direct result of people not thinking things to their conclusion.
Sure.
So that's what we have here. So a lot of people who never thought these things to their conclusion and now are going to see what actually happens and what the results are and what manifests in the world. And yeah, you said with the swimming situation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's already starting to sort of correct in a weird sort of way, because when the former fellow won the last couple of ones, there was zero applause. And then when the female-born human, what the fuck is supposed to call women now, came second, huge applause. So second is now the new first. So in those sort of instances, people are already starting to kind of ignore.
Well, it was ridiculous, dude. I mean, it was ridiculous to watch. I mean, if you see it, you see the arrow, right? And that's the winner. And I put scare quotes on that. Getting out, finishing, hitting the wall. And then you see somebody else swimming up to the other wall. And you're like, oh, okay, that's second. Oh, no. They had to go back. This person lapped them. I mean, it was that far off. So where everybody was like, well, wait a minute. Did they start the timer wrong? I mean, it was that crazy different. And it's ridiculous.
But there's no difference between men and women, and it's a societal construct, you see. So,
and I will probably be hearing about that tomorrow.
Yeah, you need to you need to quit your bigoted. Your eyeballs are bigoted.
I know. I got to check my privilege. I got to check my privilege and your privilege too.
Yeah, check them all. Check it out, baby. That's so basically it's going to be great. There's going to be loads of checking going along, because a lot of people's cognitive dissonance is going to be going fucking crazy. A lot of people are going to have to think about things they didn't want to have to think about. A lot of fathers and mothers and shit of that nature who thought of themselves as lovely, nice, goody progressive-y types are going to start having strange questions. No, they're not going to know what to do. It's going to be great. You know, it is necessary. It's necessary to get to where we need to go to, it seems, because we're still just a tiny infant species just being born, you know, and we've got a lot of shit to work out, obviously.
And while we're talking about privilege and whining, let's get to the
get to the super chats.
What? No, there's no super chats.
Oh,
I'm missing. I've got chat's totally here, but yes, well, I'm definitely gonna whine if I miss that.
Gang, what if Sheila says persons who menstruate equals women according to J.K. Rowling? Persons who menstruate. No, because I saw somebody who used to be a human male in their Twitter bio and is now not a human male in their Twitter bio, saying, actually, we menstruate too.
Oh God, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah. Well, you can get into
what was it? Have you seen the headlines about the first male pregnancy? And of course, it is a female transgender who's pregnant. It's like, no, that is a female to male transgender. It's not a male. I can't. It's like sex does matter. Biology does matter.
I really an emoji for that. That's why that was necessary, because they made an emoji, so it had to start happening a bunch in the world, because they made a fucking emoji. Which was
lovely.
I love that emoji. It's my favorite one. Have you seen it?
I think I did way back in the day, and I think my eyes rolled so fast away from it that it didn't stick with me.
It looks like a Mexican guy who's eating too many burritos. and people have started to. He's like patting his belly like, or she, whatever, is patting his belly like that, like, because supposedly it's a dude was pregnant, but it just looks like a guy who's eating too many burritos. It's beautiful.
Yep. And up is down, and down is up for sure.
One of my favorite sort of thoughts, quotes, or whatever of the modern era is that you can ignore reality, but you cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. Or you can deny reality. There you go. You can deny reality, but you cannot deny the consequences of denying reality. And that's what we're going to be getting lots of over the next few years, is a lot of the consequences of denying reality, whooping everybody in the face like a big fish.
All right, now this is going to be called a masterful transition.
Yeah.
While we're denying reality,
yeah,
here's somebody who's denying his own reality.
Oh my God.
This is the perfect image for that. Is it not? It's like the get off my lawn, Joe Rogan.
My guy. Like Neil Young, Neil Old, more like. Am I right?
Yes. Well, remember that he once was rocking the free world.
Yo, this is.
And he had a heart of gold.
Yeah. Keep on rocking in the free world, Neil Young. This is just so. This story if you do not know, I'm sure you do know, but this is the story wherein supposedly, because he pulled it, Neil Young put out a statement on his website saying, it's Spotify, it's me, or
No,
it's Joe Rogan. It's
no,
Joe Rogan or it's me.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. While we're talking genders, let's get it right. He said, it's either Young or Rogan. You choose. He spoke about himself in the third person.
Oh, he did that?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You cannot get that one wrong.
It's Young or Rogan, bitch. Yo! It's Young or Rogan.
Right.
And but then he took it down, right? So
he did take it down. I had somebody scrape it off, and the salient quote was still in there. I'm that anal. I'm like, oh, I got to find the original letter. Did he really talk about himself in the third person? Yes, he did.
I really like.
Yes, he did.
Shouts out to Liver King. Liver King's one of my favorite people. He talks about himself in the third person. I'm very into talking about yourself in the third person. Akira the Don loves it when people do that. It's it's a power move. It's a big fucking nut swanging power move. The problem is with Neil Ode mistook his opponent. You know what I mean? He thought he'd been watching so much CNN. He thought that he was fucking with. I know who you thought he was fucking with, man. But he misjudged that shit. Like, yo, even sort of 2005 Joe Rogan would have fucked him up in that context. Well, it's not even close now.
Funny. Well, okay. Have you heard of Ethan Klein and H3H3?
That is a whole kettle of disgusting fish right there. Holy shit. That whole world, if we want to talk about that, the world of YouTube edgelords who saw things changing and went, oh shit, I better completely change my fucking brand. So that motherfucker who used to talk about like N-word, F-words, we swear on this or not, I don't want to get you demonetized, but like,
thank you.
No, I mean, I don't want to get you the yellow star of shame. But this guy, right, him and Joji and iDubbbz was out there like ripping off your boy Sam Hyde and being YouTube edgelords for many, many years, dropping every N-word and every F-word and dressing up in a skin-tight green like leotard and jumping off a table and going, I'm gay, which is like shit like that, right? And then shit changes and they go, oh, fuck, I want to keep my YouTube channel. So iDubbbz, like he pivots to what he's pivoted to, and that's one thing. He tried to do a flipping documentary, stitching up Sam Hyde so he could get back in the club. He could be in the club and get a Netflix show, and it didn't work. Ethan Klein has just gone full-blown woke-tard.
Yep.
Full-blown woke-tard. But he doesn't really know what he's talking about, so he makes an absolute retard moron fool of himself.
So he recruits, was it Hassan or what? Cenk Uyghur's nephew to go on a show with him. So it's like, oh well, I got to find the communist to come on with me because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So I'm gonna get the other biggest moron. I guess Vosh was too busy, but yeah. They've got a good example of old though. Howard Stern has turned into a complete sniveling coward.
Yeah, well, he wants to keep his show as well. These motherfuckers want to keep their seat at the table. You know what I mean? And Ethan Klein went and had a meeting with Susan Wojcinski Bob or whatever her name is, the everyone's favorite horse-faced tech overlady lord, YouTube honcho, and they went and had a meeting at a point where he was nearly getting his channel nuked for some dramas he was getting in. And he came out of that very different. And the new Ethan sort of was born basically after that meeting. So I you can imagine what went down in the meeting. But yeah, you have a new guy, and then he throws your boy Peterson under the bus last week.
Oh no, and I wanted to ask you about that. I wanted to roll into it because it's literally turning into this crazy. Everybody, well, let's be honest. I think that Neil Young is clout chasing.
That's what we were talking about. Was Neil Young. No, Neil Young. So Neil Young.
And Ethan Klein. I think they're both clout chasing. It's like we're both our relevance is becoming quickly questioned. And how do we get any kind of status? We're going to attack the biggest guy out there, Joe Rogan, who just sits there in the corner saying, what, did somebody say something?
Remember Pono? Do you remember Pono?
Pono, no.
Okay, so Pono was a digital streaming service that Neil Young set up.
Oh yeah.
And it was it had its own iPod device. It had its own rip-off of an iPod that was shaped like a Toblerone, right? It was like a sort of like triangular stick type thing, and its whole thing was MP3s aren't good enough quality, and he wanted a thing that delivered WAVs, and he wanted to be Spotify for WAVs, you know, and it didn't really work. So he's been bitter and angry about the whole digital streaming thing for time. See, he's got that axe to grind, and that's one aspect of it that no one seems to, that people have forgotten. But he's got big problems with Spotify anyway.
Dude, he was so non-memorable. I mean, even Tidal was bigger than that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like an afterthought. At least Tidal had some support, you know, from some higher level hip hop people, things like that. But
Tidal's growing, actually, bizarrely, because Tidal is working with the DJ community, and it's kind of, a lot of DJs use Tidal because you can have good quality and you can stream directly into your DJ software. So Tidal's been just quietly just doing what they do. Anyway, Neil Old, God bless him, he's just a classic boomer archetype of the person of that generation that they had everything, they did every drug, they had every kind of unprotected sex, they smoked on airplanes, they didn't take their shoes off when they went through border control, they fucking did everything they fucking could, and then they said, all right, no one else gets to have any fun, and they pulled up all the fucking ladders and pulled up all the rugs and became, you know, it's the old, you know, live to die the hero or live to see yourself become Neil fucking Young. You know?
Well, and of course you're quoting Marcus Aurelius by way of this, right? Or some other great philosopher.
Yeah, and Neil Young also had that song where he said, "Better to burn out than to fade away." But he's not fading away; he's more just screaming into the fucking night.
Actually, somebody said, "Oh God," now I forgot the artist they were talking about, but it cracked me up. Another Canadian. Oh God, I'll think of it later. But I thought it was so freaking hilarious. But if you could lose my mind, Gordon Lightfoot. Somebody said, "Oh, isn't he a bargain, Gordon Lightfoot?"
Who?
Neil Young.
I don't even know who Gordon Lightfoot is.
Oh Jesus, he's like one of the greatest songwriters in Canada.
Okay.
Bob Dylan worships Gordon Lightfoot. He's that level.
Gotcha.
So they were saying, well, isn't he just a bargain, Gordon Lightfoot?
Young was it's Crosby and Stills and Nash's fault.
Young,
you know?
Yep.
It's Crosby, Stills and Nash's fault. Is all Young. But anyway, God bless Young. You know, I mean, he rocked mutton chops for a long time. Not a lot of people could have the tenacity to rock mutton chops for 50 years. Like he did his thing. Who knows with this? It's one of these things. This big old news story, but the real story is the power of Rogan. And I'm when you said you talked about something about admitting when you're wrong. Okay, and I will admit something I think I was wrong about, which is when Rogan took the Spotify deal, conspiratorial me thought, what's happened here is he's basically been told he's getting siloed off, because for a long time the Spotify stuff it was way less relevant, it was way less people, not as many people was listening to it. It didn't have the cultural impact that when he had Elon Musk on, and it was brought and he was live. And there was chat.
Oh God, yeah.
Everyone in the world was watching that. It felt like this massive cultural moment. And when he went off to Spotify, it felt like, you know, the fucking FBI had gone and had a word with him and said, "Look, all right, you fuck off over there in the corner where no like one pays attention to you."
No, it was like Howard Stern when he left radio and went to satellite, and his influence was down. And by the way, I was wrong too. We might have been for different reasons. I thought it was a dumb move because, yes, he was getting ghettoized, things like that. But I've come to change my mind and realize when I deal with a yellow dollar sign all the freaking time on YouTube and stuff, because he did the deal with Spotify, he charged them so much money that they can't tell him to shut up. It'll bring them down. Yeah, and that was brilliant.
Now it's still, you know, there's still a bunch of the old podcasts never got put up. And they were initially, it was, you know, the ones with Gavin McGinnis and Milo and people like that. They never went up.
Michaela Peterson, of all people.
And hers didn't go up neither. And a bunch of them, right? Never went
Dave Asprey.
But then going forward, he has increasringly.
He's like poking his finger in their eye.
Yeah. And what he's done by not fucking himself up and not like what everyone was demanding he do, and all the people who were calling him a shill and this, that, and the other for years, he not only is he more powerful and more influential than ever, more powerful and more influential than those that would destroy him, he is more powerful and more influential than he was at that point.
Yes.
So in playing the long game, he is incredibly useful.
He's the greatest. He may be the greatest ever, because guess what? I think the Howard Stern analogy worked really well. And what I thought he did was that Howard Stern's relevance has never been at the level he was when he was the king of all media.
No.
But Rogan did the same thing, and he grew where he went to be the biggest thing ever. It doesn't matter that he's on Spotify. What he has done is literally said, I am the sun. Everything's going to orbit around me wherever I am. And that's pretty damn powerful.
It really is. It is. And what's great about it is it's in so many fields and so many areas. The entire comedy scene has moved to Austin.
God, yes. And the comedy store is like a ghost town. They were talking about it. It's like they don't hang out there anymore. I mean, geez, it's crazy. The amount of power he really has. And so it is funny. We're both wrong on it. I was totally wrong on it. Did not realize that. Yeah, he made the right move. If he stayed on YouTube, he would have been relegated into fighting for scraps, getting demonetized all the time like a Steven Crowder, or fighting every 10 minutes for every single show. But he went somewhere that needed him so badly, and now they are locked in, kind of like trade agreements with China and the U.S., sadly. But part of the reason the U.S. and China aren't at war is because China is so invested in the U.S. dollar. That's the only thing that's keeping us from spinning out a complete control right now.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes, because it's there. He has the fucking world. He has the whole world after him right now.
Oh God, yeah, and it's funny. It is so funny because everybody is just taking pot shots at him and everything else, and he's handling it really well. I mean, he really is.
My goodness.
It's like,
my goodness,
they're irrelevant. He doesn't even think about them, like gnats.
That awful traitorous wretch, Ethan Klein.
Oh God.
The traitorous wretch, Ethan Klein, the tragic, who, my goodness, I hadn't checked in on him for a couple of years, I guess. I hadn't paid any attention. Like that whole bread tube thing passed me by. I didn't know what Hassan was until Sam Hyde was talking about trying to box him. I was like, who's this guy Sam Hyde wants to box? And it's like, anyway, like he has let himself go. My Lord, he has let himself go. And this guy who is he really has let himself go. It's quite the thing. I mean, he got a lovely wife. He's got a kid. Like, he needs to pick something up and put it back down again and then pick it up again, by Joe. And it's really funny watching him like have a go. Like Rogan said thinks he's healthy and he eats elk meat or something. Like, what? This is such incredible upside down Hong Kong clown world where a guy who looks like a fucking pregnant chick, he looks like the pregnant man emoji, right? That's what he looks like now. He looks like the pregnant man emoji. When the pregnant man emoji is lecturing Joseph Rogan
with bad complexion, yes,
fucking shaved ape. Have you ever seen a shaved ape?
Yeah, that would be Rogan, and he'd call himself that. Probably.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would, because he's got self-awareness, unlike certain fucking diaper-wearing mantards. Now, a shaved ape, those things is muscular. Yo, if you look at a picture of a shaved ape, oh my goodness. Anyway, so it's just funny watching people try and tell Joe Rogan he's not healthy and shit like that, because it's like,
well, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous on his face.
He's going on 60 and he'll fuck you up.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, he looks better than most 20-year-olds. Did you see that thing that came out last week about like how much weight people put on since Tom Hanks and all that bullshit? Like, yo, it's like the average 20-something, like 20, I think it was 21 to 25-year-old put on 40 pounds.
Yeah. Dude, I'm no lightweight, so I keep my mouth shut.
Self-awareness is groovy, baby. Anyway, you're a beautiful thick boy.
Oh yeah, thick boy. Yeah, that's me.
Sturdy. Sturdy. You look like
I'm like a tree. I'll fall down and harm people. And the whole room will shake as I hit the ground. You're gonna be suffering.
No, you are oak, my guy. You are oak. You look like you could bench press 15 nuns.
Oh yeah, right. Bench press my way from the table.
Yo, shouts out to the chat one time, Durner 1804. You bad motherfucker. What up, Sean? What up, Andrew Knapp? What up, Tangled Up and Blah? Who says that Big Pharma's narrative is falling apart, using coders like Howard and Neil to keep it going.
And
it's so sad.
It is. Without going into what they're talking about, it is very, very interesting seeing the narrative, shall we say, unraveling before our
Unraveling
eyes.
is the word of the year, baby. I think that's what Jocko called his new podcast, and it's so perfect because that is what is going on.
It really is. And I think it's hilarious because you're looking at the reactions of, like Howard Stern getting more and more screedish. So you either have people saying, you know what, screw it. Like Bill Maher's like, you know what, I'm done. Okay, I'm tired of it. Let's move on. And then you have the other ones. So, how dare you say that? I cannot believe you're saying that. You're a psychopath. Think of the children. The children.
Oh man, the poor children. I do think of the children. It makes me really sad. I think of that picture of that little boy with the mask on, just like that little face.
Or what about the group shot? And I forgot who it even was. It was like some politicians, right? All in a row. No masks on. All the kids with their little masks on. It kind of looked like Pink Floyd. Remember Pink Floyd, The Wall, when they're marching him to the meat grinder?
Yeah, baby. It's
Really?
it's like evil. It's like I laugh, but it's fucking evil. Now, I homeschool my kid, and that was always the plan. And I went to school. I remember that fucking shit. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. You know what I mean? And that was then. What's funny now is like now it's just visible what's going on. It's like they got, they got visual representations of what was always happening, what it was always for, what the point always was. Same with everything. You got like one of these Emmys or these Oscars-y things or whatever. You got all these the favored people walking around like always, and then all the staff have all got to have fucking masks and shit on, like some weird fucking S&M party. You know what I mean? Like, and you just see what was always the truth, but now it's just. It's so bizarrely over the top. It's glorious, and the unraveling is therefore a complete inevitability because those with eyes to see, they see now. They go, oh, fucking hey, look at all this creepy shit. Fuck.
Well, okay. I don't know if you read into a lot of different things. Like, I've been saying that we've been in the world's largest Milgram experiment. I don't know if you've read about the Milgram experiment or you're familiar with it.
Which one's that one? Remind me. I think
essentially Milgram is when you take somebody in a lab coat.
Yeah.
And it's very significant. Has to be a person in a lab coat. And he brings somebody in, and you have I've got to say for the audience, for the 10 people who don't know it. Essentially, you have two people in a lab coat. The one person is the student, and the other one is the educator. And the educator is actually the one that's being experimented on. Now, the student will be on one side of the wall, and the educator is on the other side of the wall. And the lab coat person, who looks like a doctor, I mean, obviously that's the point of it, will demonstrate and show the educator, here's this little device that you hook up to the hand, and when you press the button, it gives a little shock. And you ask a question of the student, and if they get it wrong, give them a little shock. And then they just keep turning the levels up every single time. And then the student on the other side of the wall will be screaming, oh my God, I have a heart condition. It's all the way up. And I think it's about 60% would kill them. They're giving that much electricity. Yeah. And this all came out of Milgram, whose parents, I believe, or at least his relatives or people he knew, had died in concentration camps in World War II. And he was kind of trying to figure out, why is it people are going to go for authority? Well, guess what? We just saw it. We just saw authority. There's other experiments, like, I don't know if you're familiar with the crossing of the street experiment, where you have somebody who's a plant, a bunch of people standing there, and you have somebody jaywalk. And if they look, kind of slovenly like me, and they jaywalk, people kind of look at them like, oh, you weirdo. But then they'll have somebody in a business suit do it, and then like half of the people do it. Then they have somebody who's in a uniform and they do it, boom, and then everybody does it. All of these are very well developed, proven psychological principles. That is what we're going through right now and have been going through. And I don't care if you want to talk about Robert Malone or whatever his name is and say that it's not true. By the way, is it not ironic when you have people saying it is not mass psychosis, and they're all repeating, "This is not mass psychosis. This is not."
That's what it's the meme. It's the NPC meme come to life. That's what's so glorious about it all. It's the NPC meme come to life, and that you see the little face, the little angry eyes thing come up. It's just fucking beautiful. The key number there is 60%. 60% is the number, and you see that's been in everything. That's in all manner of cultures, mythologies, ancient religions, as being the number of people who one modern way of describing is NPC, or someone who is, easily compliant or easily led, or doesn't, there was that thing last year, that whole Twitter thread about people who were like, oh, these people talking about internal monologues. I don't have an internal monologue. Yeah, me neither.
Which is weird, which is scary. It's like, what? And you tell them, and they're like, "Oh, you're psychotic. Oh, you must be a schizophrenic." It's like, no, I have an internal monologue. It's a normal thing.
The Matrix was one way of looking at it, and there's all these different ways of looking at it. But 60% seems to be the number that comes up across human history, whether it's in contemporary psychological experiments or whether it's ancient texts. 60%. Now, what that means is if you break it down into the remaining 40%, it means that you don't have to be worrying too much about the mass, because the mass will just do whatever they think they're supposed to be doing. So what you actually need to be focusing on is what's left of the 40% when you take away the kind of 1% of evil motherfuckers who are trying to do evil motherfucker shit, like the 4% of like wise motherfuckers who aren't paying attention, who aren't even bothering. And like the 30% of everyone else, it's that you have to concern yourself with. And if you can influence the direction of that, or you can sort of shift the narrative of that, then the 60% will follow. A lot of people waste their energy and time trying to appeal to and reach the full 60%, when you don't need to reach the full 60%. It's like I was playing the first Red Dead Redemption game yesterday, and one of the early missions, you have to like herd a load of cows around. You know what I mean?
Is that the one with the cult?
There's a cult in the second one, I think, maybe the first.
Okay. I don't play
the cult. Anyway, you're on your horse and you're pushing getting a load of cows to not go over a fucking cliff. And it's like, you know what I mean? All you have to do is like focus on like the one cow on the lefty side and just make sure the direction is going. You ain't got to fucking individually communicate with every single fucking cow and all that type of thing. And that's how
cattle and COVID.
How humane an analogy that is. But the point being is that for a long time, people have wasted their energy unnecessarily trying to reach that 60%, and it's not necessary.
I agree. And this is a different principle, because I also am a lover of the Pareto principle, which is 80-20. And then that's getting even narrower, but that is a little different than compliance. We'll call this the compliance principle. Haven't really broke that one down, but I can totally see that. And
there's a lot in that. And it's like with the within that, you've got the halo effect principle, wherein just a person who's wearing Bill Nye goes on TV and he's wearing a lab coat, so people fucking listen to what he says about anything. Or a certain kind of person. The 60% will. So you know what I mean? That 60% will listen to fucking Bill Nye talk about like I don't know, fucking teeth brushing, or fucking how to fucking mow their lawn properly or some shit, more than they would another person, because you've got a fucking lab coat on. Because the halo effect means that if you look at a person in some kind of authority, you will listen to them on everything and think they know about everything. When in actual fact, those sorts of people are usually very specific and only know a very, very tiny thing within one tiny field. And actually, then you have the issue wherein this is something else we've been seeing during the.
And then you have Dunning-Kruger. But anyway,
one of the fucking phenomena of the past couple of years has been watching really intelligent people make really unsmart calls. And that is because intelligent people aren't necessarily smart.
Yeah, well, there's different factors. I mean, you have I'm going to put smart as in wisdom.
Well,
and I think that people mix it up, because wisdom is kind of what I think you're talking about. You have just raw firepower intelligence. Then you have wisdom, like, why would you do that, son?
Well, right? So I've known smart motherfuckers, like street dudes, like prison-y type dudes, like who could tell you what was going on and have a much better idea of what was happening in the world than a college educated.
I barely read a book.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's
Yes.
like that. We have that other meme at the moment with like, you've got the dumb guy on the left, and then you've got the guy in the middle, and then you've got the monk on the right. Now, smartness you could consider as like a bit like wisdom, the ability to apply intelligence to your life and the world. Right. So super intelligent people sometimes, they are hyper intelligent in one area, but it's like the thing I always come back to in Ferris Bueller, where Cameron is looking at the painting and he's looking at it so close, he can't see the totality of the painting. He just sees the little blobs. So he doesn't see the whole thing. He can't see that it's a full picture. And a lot of super, super smart people, you're seeing that it's not super smart, so super intelligent.
Right.
That's we've seen that happening. But those people will look to and take their advice and think they should listen to them because of that halo effect.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And by the way, I want to point out something about your 60% that kind of threw me a little, but I didn't realize it. I totally agree with it, but I've always visualized it in a different way. And when you're saying 60%, it's actually 30-30 on the polls. And you're fighting for the 40 in the middle.
Yeah, that's one way of thinking about it.
I know it's a weird way to say that, but it actually lines up with politics. So you have the hardcore, this is my team, hardcore, this is my team. Those are the cattle, and no matter what, they're locked in. They're just not going to deviate. They're just right there. And then you have this barrier in the middle, and what you're trying to do is tweak it to get that tiny majority. So you're trying to push, because obviously they're lost. They're done. Don't even think about it. Who cares? You're fighting for that little bit in the middle. And I think that's another way of looking at the 60% rule you were just saying.
Yeah, there is. I like that. And then you think of it like those sort of old games you used to get where you're tilting a thing and you're trying to get a ball to fall down the middle of a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Where you go through a little maze and you get absolutely.
Yeah. It is actually going on. Michael Henley environment. Exactly. What Michael Henley says, educated aren't necessarily smart. I mean, you can get to the point now. Have you seen teachers these days? Like, you see them because they go on TikTok and they post videos outing themselves for the utter, like, these motherfuckers.
Right.
And yo, it's just shocking the level. Like, I went to school and it was some bullshit, but like the teachers that I had, God bless them, of their varying degrees of ridiculous cartoon characterness, but like they knew what they could teach their subjects. These motherfuckers now, like, they think that knowing stuff is bad. Okay.
Well, like, it depends. There's not only that, but there's also actual Antifa recruiters in the classroom.
Yo, there's straight up people who think that like Shakespeare's a white supremacist or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
like, there's
he's not.
Yo, he was a fine Brummy man. He was a fine Brummy man for the Midlands. So like, fucking teachers, like, yo, these people is crazy. What they're doing nowadays, they keep having coming out parties at the kindergarten and shit, right? These teachers, like, why you keep coming out to their students and shit and putting TikToks up about it and all this type of things? Like,
who cares?
Why are you doing that? It's not about you. This isn't about you. This isn't your little fucking stage for you to put on your little show and do your, my interest in life. You're here to educate these children and like.
And by the way,
evil piece of shit.
By the way, it's disgusting, and this is why it's disgusting. Not because somebody is in a same-sex relationship.
No, I don't give a fuck.
No, it's the same as walking in on your grandparents having sex. Okay, it's disturbing to a child.
Yo, that's
it's not comfortable.
It's leave the blessed kids alone. You know what I mean? Now, and I'm always in two minds, because like, you put your kid in a school, part of me is like, well, what you think is gonna happen? You know what I mean? But like, it's so crazy out now. It's so off the rails now. It's like, you put your kid in a school, like, that motherfucker gonna come back in 3 days claiming they're a Wookiee, and like, you know what I mean, and telling you that you're some kind of evil upholder of colonial injustices or some shit, and they set fire to your house. You know what I mean? Like, you put your kid in the school now, you playing with fire, baby. You're gonna get yourself a little terrorist come home, and they're gonna do that. You remember that shit in 1984 with the kids were like dobbing their parents to the fucking government all the time and shit like that?
Well, that's what they're doing now. And
they're reading.
No, they're doing it right. Look, this shit was already going on, not just with kids, but adults. De Blasio and others were literally telling people to narc out your neighbors. Do you see them getting together? Please let us know. Please be a snitch. And I'm going to tell you a story I've told everybody else, and sorry if it's old, but it was impactful to me. So everybody gets to suffer. I spent time in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And this was was before 9/11.
What did you do?
I was in the Army in the 90s, and I volunteered to invade Haiti under Clinton because I hated my job that much. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I wound up being a cook taking care of 100,000 refugees in Cuba.
Fuck.
And in Guantanamo Bay, because I don't know if you remember, there was a huge influx of them trying to get out. And that's where I learned to really just appreciate little factors like where the hell I was born. Because I'm working with somebody there who literally spoke fluent English. I couldn't speak Spanish, had multiple degrees, was my age. I was a burnout, tried to be a writer, journalist, this and that, and had to go into the Army because I was donating plasma twice a week trying to live. And this guy had multiple degrees and everything else. What was the difference between him and I? Where we were born. There was nothing else. His achievements were higher. His language is higher. Everything was higher. Amazing dude. Wonderful personality. I just had the fortune of where I was born. So that was a bitch slap to the face. Now, what else did it teach me? Every one of them that I spoke to said, if we had a gun, you wouldn't have to be taking care of us. Every one of them said, we want to be in Cuba. We don't want to be in Florida. We don't want to be anywhere else, but we just cannot live where we are. Every one of them talked about how there was a snitch in every building. Every corner. This is North Korea shit, Cuban shit, and Scientology shit. They're all the same, and I study this stuff. Every one of them talked about how when their kids had a party, they couldn't have one party and bring all their family and friends. They had to have multiple parties because more than 5 is an assembly. Think about that for a minute, because we have a Bill of Rights. And right to assembly is in there. All this trivial bullshit, Second Amendment, First Amendment, all this is so in your face when you're dealing with a situation. And I did not realize it, but it is an impactful thing. So a lot of the silliness that, we complain about and everything else, whatever, it's not silly. It may seem antiquated, but that doesn't make it any less prescient, any less brilliant. It is completely important. And I learned that while I was taking care of people in Cuba. These wonderful people who, upon being in these encampments that we have set up, right, built an entire political structure. Every tent had a captain. Every camp had like a leader. So, they had an entire political structure built into it. In like no time. And the coolest part about it was like you take a cross section of their whole society. So the people who helped me, I told you about the university graduate. Another guy who was helping me was a acrobat circus performer. And he was like a little short dude, just ripped. Just everywhere. And he would work out using a broomstick and buckets of water and things like that while he was there. And then there was another dude who was a musician, and he managed to bring his guitar with him, through the water and everything else, with these rusted ass strings that were damn near like barbed wire practically. There's rusted and nasty, and they were just beautiful. He could play so perfectly in tune with his garbage guitar because it didn't matter. It was all coming from his soul. So this is a lot of where I would say my political views, a lot of my thoughts have been fully, shall we say, baked in.
Context and gratitude is the fucking foundation of wisdom. And that is what is denied to many people. That is where a lot of these problems come from, because people are denied. They're taught to not be grateful. They're taught to be victims. They're taught to blame. They're not. So many people do not realize just what an incredible blessing it is to be where they are, to have what they have. And they won't know until it's taken from them. And then, I don't know, then what will they do?
I agree.
This is what we're seeing right now. This goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. Just some basic shit that you take for granted, like your daughter being able to get good at swimming and win a couple competitions. That shit's been taken. That's taken from you. You're like, oh shit, the fucking Bolsheviks are back, baby. And a lot of people don't even know what a Bolshevik is because they don't talk about that shit in school because they only teach you about one side of shit because they want everyone to think that baddies are like one part of the political persuasion and the other part is all goody goodies. So if someone is like super right, if someone is far right, that means they're really bad. That means if they're far left, they must be really, really good or something.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like the basic shit that kids are taught. And they've been doing that for decades and decades and decades. And people haven't thought, people haven't looked, they haven't read, they do not know. But do you know who fucking does know? Those people that you met. They know.
Here's another one for you.
Firsthand.
A guy I've had on multiple times, Jack Barsky.
Uh-huh.
Jack Barsky is a KGB spy. He lived here as a mole for 16 years undetected. Longest undercover mole ever. He is now an American citizen. He quit the KGB while he was over here, which is a miracle. The guy was brilliant. You know how he quit the KGB? Because he came here in like late 70s. And he quit in the late 80s.
Right.
He reported back that he got AIDS. And they were like, okay, we'll make sure the family gets your money. Have a nice day. Good luck to you. May you die in peace. They were so terrified of it. It was actually brilliant because they were like, wrote that off. They were so scared. It was like they didn't want any part of it. But talking to him, you just mentioned Bolsheviks, and that's what popped this in my mind. He not only was in the environment, he was trained by the top of the environment. Okay. He literally was indoctrinated, spoke in it, lived in it, and worked for them. Mm-hmm. He's in his 70s. I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
I grew up with duck and cover, and I grew up with communism.
Uh-huh.
The people now, keep in mind that we now have people of drinking age who were, as of this September, we'll have drinking age people who were born after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
We already have people who have no relevance to it. And it's even further back with the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, if you're coming from a coddling environment where you have mommy and daddy taking you everywhere and helicopter parenting you and everything else, well, communism looks good. Socialism looks good. Who's going to take care of me? I've got to go from mom and dad to somebody. That should be the government because the government's a religion with these folks. Mm. And we are losing. Oh, hey, I got a fan here. Thank you. I'm a bullshit artist.
Hey, what a
I always like good fans. Anyway, nice. We're losing that actual living memory of, hey, this is what you were getting.
Yeah, this is why this is what's going to happen. This is why they put all the old people in homes and shit, and this is why they fucking like delete all the old movies and shit of that nature. They don't want you to know what happened. It's so close. Like my fucking grandfather was like taken by the communists and put in a concentration camp when he was a teenager. You know what I mean? He was taken from his school. He never saw his parents again. They loaded him and his homies onto the back of a fucking wagon and took him off to a camp. You know what I mean? He was in Poland. The bit of Poland he was in is now Lithuania. You know what I mean? He never saw his family again. Like he managed to get out of that camp, and then he ended up fighting and driving a tank. You know what I mean? That was my granddad. That's my granddad, right? That's not long. That's not far. Like that shit could happen again. You know what I mean? It's so weird that like the myopia of our current sort of experience and what people have been denied. You know, and it's bizarre to see.
Well, actually. I totally agree. And wow, I did not know that. On that dark note, we should probably end with a white pill, right? Or a
no, but here's what there's a white pill in that. I mean, the white pill in that, like he got out, he got through it.
Yes.
He got through it. He got out. He fought in a war. He ended up in the UK. He married, he met my grandmother. He got married. He had a family. That family went on to do stuff. And now his grandson, makes music and has his own family and, you know, like
lives the dream, really.
Lives the absolute fucking dream. Like, and that's just a couple of years. There's a couple generations. You go from one thing to another thing, you know? I got homies who like, you know, escaped also like all sorts of situations, all sorts of regimes and all sorts of horror. I got people who like smuggled their way, who like, you know, got smuggled by their father into America because they was escaping like fucking religious
Sure.
persecution and murder and horror in Europe and fucking all over the place. Like, we are so blessed. It's such an incredible period of time. We have such abundance of potential to conquer everything in our path, to transcend every obstacle in our way. All this stupid shit that's happening all around us, all this horrible stuff, it's wonderful because for so long, certain things were just the 60% or whatever could not see and they would not believe. But now things are so apparent and so raw, it's so much harder for people to not see. And once they see, it's a genie that cannot go back in the bottle. And we have so much on our side, whether it's the internet, whether it's the unparalleled sort of health of our people and knowledge and wisdom and capacity for imbuing the wisdom of the ages via podcasts, via books, via these sorts of conversations. It's absolutely incredible times to be alive. There is no, you know, it's how you want to look at things. You could go super black pill, but it would just be stupid if you think of all the things that our species has gone through.
Mm-hmm.
And
we live better than kings right
got
now.
Through. We live better than kings 100 years ago, the poorest of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, and it's not just how we live. It's not just material things. It's our
knowledge, our attainability for information around us, music, culture,
potential
access to that.
To realize, to do what we're here for, to actualize our greatest selves. The potential for that has never been so great for so many people. And so it's epic. So that, you know, it's incredible that that's what happened to my grandfather, and that's now my son is where he is and is doing what he's doing. He's 9. He's making like next level video game, movie, interactive experiences with his friends who live all across the world, and they all connect together and make incredible things. They can, you know, it just blows my mind. And I really don't understand how anyone could possibly be, nihilist and
well, you said before, myopic can go both ways, because the other point I was going to make is it was during my lifetime, but I was obviously too young to know it. But in the early 70s, you think things are bad now politically? You think things are bad now with polarization? There were literally over 200 bombs going off in America in the early 70s. I mean, buildings all over being bombed throughout the year. I mean, I had Ken Lanning on, who was an FBI bomb guy. So
yeah, it was the same in the UK. Now. The IRA were blowing everything up.
Yeah, there you go. We're worried about it. And that was in the 90s. I mean, hell,
I was also just remembered when you mentioned the AIDS thing. When I was a little kid, I remember I went to school and I was like 7 or some shit. And there was what I thought was a balloon on the floor, like a popped balloon. And I picked it up. And one of the bigger kids goes, that's a condom. You've got AIDS. I was like, what? And then everyone in school just decided I had AIDS. So I was the kid who had AIDS. And literally everyone in the school got together the next day and took me into the main courtyard thing and kicked the shit out of me. Like the whole school, literally the whole school. Because
it's not funny, but I'm laughing.
It's kind of, it's funny now. It's funny now, but it's like, because I was the kid with AIDS. If you like think these fucking, none of this shit is new. And to the point, it's just like within my short ass lifetime, like we've been around these fucking mulberry bushes round and round and round.
And yes, and one of those bombers was a trusted advisor who ghost wrote Barack Obama's book.
Yeah, and one of them runs BLM.
No, that's another one. Yeah, you got
we're
gonna probably be doing this.
One of them's a lady.
Bernadette Dorn. We're going to. Well, there's a few of them there, but on my other show, America's Untold Stories, we may be doing a show on, shall we say, terrorists who become teachers.
Yay!
Because they're all professors in universities.
Yeah, of course they are.
That's what we do. So, we pardon them and then we give them what oh god, what do you give that? I had a smart ass comment on pardon to tenure. That's what it
There you
is.
go.
It's pardon to tenure. It's
That's the
a
book, that one.
perfect path for these psychos. And then you wonder why people are going, you know, why don't you go to trade school? Why don't you learn to do HVAC? Why don't you learn to do whatever and stay out of that pit?
Yo, it is a pit. It is a pit. And again, as we're saying, it's just becoming more and more obvious what it is, and less people are going to be doing it, and the effect, the influence of it will become less and less. We've got an interesting period to go through while things become really fucking apparent to people, and that's gonna be fun.
Ironically, that's a Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times.
Yeah. I don't. They really are interesting, and they always have been. You know.
Well, on that happy note, I'm going to wrap up. Typical news show with me means that it's going to go off the rails, and who knows how many stories we'll get to, but that's really part of the fun of it and part of why I don't take it overly seriously. My man, what do you have coming out? You just dropped like 3 or 4 songs over the past couple weeks, right?
Yeah, man. I drop new music every week.
Okay.
You know, that's. Sorry about that. Did you hear that?
No, I do. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That was my son FaceTiming me. I don't know what he's doing.
That's your cue too.
Yeah. Right. What was I going to say? Yeah, I drop music every week. I dropped 2 music videos this week already. I got the new Hercules. Bloody hell! He knows that I'm doing this as well because he wanted to watch it, and his mum told him that it would probably be inappropriate. Now, yeah, I got a new album with Jordan Peterson coming out next week. We've had a couple of singles out. They're very, very beautiful. Yeah, just keeping it moving. I drop music every week. That's the system.
Akira the Don on YouTube. I will make sure that I link it through here. I don't know if I did already. And stick around for a minute. We'll say our goodbyes. And folks, thank you so much.